You don't overthink because something is wrong with you. You overthink because at some point, your brain decided that thinking harder was the only way to survive. And once you see these 6 patterns, you'll never call it just anxiety again. Most people who think too much have heard the same thing their whole life. Just relax. Stop overthinking. You're making it bigger than it is. And you try. You really try. You stay busy. You distract yourself. You tell your brain, please, just be quiet for once. And for a moment, it works. Until 2 a.m., until the shower, until the middle of a conversation you're supposed to be present in. And suddenly, it's back, louder, more detailed, more relentless than before. And you start to wonder, is something actually wrong with me? Here's what nobody ever told you. The thinking isn't the problem. The thinking is the signal. And underneath every person who can't stop, there is a mind that learned, in some specific moment, in some specific environment, that staying alert was the only way to stay safe. This video isn't going to tell you to stop thinking. It's going to show you why you started. But before we get into the 6 patterns, I want to plant one question in your mind, a question I'm coming back to at the very end. What has your thinking been protecting you from? Hold that. Pattern 1. You replay conversations long after they end. The conversation ended an hour ago, maybe 3 hours ago, maybe 3 years ago, but you're still in it. The exact words you used, the pause before they responded, the look on their face, the one that might have meant something. You replay it once, then again, each time catching something new, each time building a case not toward answers, but toward more questions. Was I too much? Did I say it wrong? Do they think differently of me now? And here's what nobody explains. This isn't irrational. This isn't dramatic. This is a nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do. Your mind learned early that conversations could shift without warning. That one wrong word could create distance, disapproval, conflict. So it developed a rule: don't release it until it's been fully analyzed. The problem is, it never feels fully analyzed. Because the resolution you're looking for doesn't live in the past. It lives in the next conversation, and the one after that. But here's the thing I want you to sit with. The conversations you replay most are almost never with people you feel safe with. And that's not about the conversation. That's about the relationship. Your nervous system is trying to tell you something. The question is whether you're willing to hear it. Pattern 2 is where it starts costing you sleep. Pattern 2. You live inside moments that haven't happened yet. The meeting is in 4 days, but you've already had it 6 times in your head. You've rehearsed the question you won't have a good answer to. You've prepared for the pushback. You've lived through the version where it goes badly. And now you're exhausted from something that hasn't even started yet. Or maybe it's not work. Maybe it's a text you haven't sent yet. A conversation you know you need to have. A relationship moment that's coming, and you've already scripted every possible version of how it could go wrong. You call it being prepared. You call it thinking ahead. But here's the truth. This isn't preparation. This is a nervous system that grew up somewhere unpredictable, where you never quite knew what mood you were walking into, where something small could shift the entire day without warning. And the only thing that felt like control was thinking ahead, staying one step in front of reality, never letting anything arrive unexpected. So your brain built a habit, and now it runs automatically, even when there's no threat, even when everything is fine, even when the only emergency happening is the one inside your head. And the exhausting part, and you already know this, is that it never ends. Because there is always one more scenario you haven't prepared for yet. But pattern 3 is where it stops being just exhausting and starts becoming heavy. Pattern 3. You notice more than most people around you. You walk out of a room, but your mind doesn't. Other people left and forgot it ever happened. You left carrying everyone's energy, everyone's expression, every shift in tone that no one else even registered. The way someone looked away a second too early. The sentence that felt fine on the surface but landed slightly wrong. The moment the mood shifted so subtle that no one named it. No one except you. And you're not doing this on purpose. Your brain just collects. automatically, constantly, more than most people's brains do. And then later alone, quiet, in bed, you process all of it. This is where it becomes heavy, because you don't just notice more, you carry more. You feel responsible for things you didn't cause. You replay moments that weren't even about you. You lie awake, analyzing a room that everyone else forgot hours ago. This isn't overthinking. This is what happens when a nervous system learned early, in an environment where other people's moods were dangerous, that awareness was survival. Reading the room wasn't optional, it was protection. And that system never got the message that it was allowed to turn off. You are not too sensitive. You are too unprotected. There's a difference. And understanding that difference changes everything. Pattern 4 hits at the one moment you're supposed to finally rest. Pattern 4. You struggle to switch off mind at night. During the day, there are enough distractions. Work, phone, people, movement. The noise keeps the internal volume manageable. And then, night comes. The distractions disappear. The house goes quiet. And suddenly, everything your mind has been holding all day surfaces at once. The conversation from this morning. The thing you said last Tuesday. The worry you pushed aside at 2 p.m. because there wasn't time. The question with no answer. The fear you've been outrunning since breakfast. All of it right there. At the one moment your body is trying to rest. Your brain isn't broken. Here's what's actually happening. Your mind spent the entire day managing staying regulated through movement and distraction. And now, in the only quiet moment it's been given, it's finally doing the processing it never had time for. The problem isn't that you can't sleep. The problem is that you never gave your mind anywhere to put things during the day. And the more you fight it at night, the louder it gets. Pattern 5 is the one that makes every mistake feel like a verdict. Pattern 5. Small mistakes feel much bigger than they should. You said the slightly wrong thing. You sent a text and immediately wished you could take it back. You forgot something small, something anyone else would forget, and move on from within seconds. But you don't move on. It replays. It grows. It attaches itself to every other moment you've ever gotten wrong. And suddenly, it's not about the text anymore. Suddenly, it's about who you are, what you're worth, whether you're actually as capable, as likable, as good as people think you are. The rational part of you knows this is too much. It knows the other person isn't still thinking about it. It knows it didn't matter. But the knowing doesn't make the feeling stop. Because the logic and the feeling exist in two completely separate systems, and the feeling doesn't care what the logic says. This is important. What this pattern produces isn't just anxiety, it's shame. And shame doesn't say, I did something wrong. Shame says, I am something wrong. And here's why that happens. In some early environment, mistakes had unpredictable weight. A wrong word could change the temperature of an entire room. A small failure could become something larger, louder, more consequential than it should have been. And so your mind learned, treat every mistake as potentially dangerous. Monitor constantly. Prepare for consequences before they arrive. Now you're an adult. The stakes are lower. But your nervous system didn't get the update. And pattern 6 is the one underneath all of them. Pattern 6. You think deeply because your mind learned to stay ahead. This is the pattern that explains everything else. You don't think too much because you're broken. You think too much because at some point, in some environment, your brain made a decision staying ahead of reality is safer than letting it arrive. If I can predict it, I won't be blindsided. If I can analyze it, I can stop it before it escalates. If I can stay one step ahead always, I can survive whatever comes next. And in the environment that taught you this, that wasn't anxiety. That was intelligence. That was a child doing the most sophisticated emotional labor imaginable, reading patterns, anticipating shifts, managing risk in a world that required it. The problem is, that world changed. The people who required that level of vigilance, they're not always in the room anymore. The environment that felt unpredictable, you left it, or grew past it, or survived it. But the nervous system didn't leave with you. It's still there, still scanning, still preparing. still convinced at some deep, wordless level that the moment you stop watching, something will go wrong. And so you think too much, not because something is wrong with you, but because something was required of you for a very long time. And your mind, loyal, protective, exhausted, never got permission to stop. What all of this is actually saying. The question I planted at the beginning, what has your thinking been protecting you from? By now, you know the answer. Uncertainty, being caught off guard, mistakes that feel bigger than they actually are, environments that could shift without warning, a version of the world that taught you unreadiness is dangerous. And here's the truth, your mind isn't broken. It was doing exactly what it was supposed to do. Every time it raced ahead, replayed a conversation, or imagined a scenario, it was trying to keep you safe. Not because you failed, not because something was wrong with you, but because your nervous system learned a strategy that worked in a world that demanded it. But the world you live in now isn't that world. The stakes aren't the same. The people, the rules, the environments, they've changed. And yet your mind hasn't gotten the memo. It's still running on that old programming, scanning for threats, rehearsing outcomes, preparing endlessly, even when there is no real danger. And that's why the goal isn't to silence your mind. That's never the solution. You can't shut down what has been keeping you alive for so long. The goal is different. It's to teach your mind something new, to show it that it can relax without risking survival, to give your nervous system the experience. It's been craving proof that uncertainty doesn't always mean danger, that mistakes aren't catastrophes, that life can be lived without rehearsing every possible outcome. You are allowed to not know and still be okay. You are allowed to step into a situation unprepared and survive. You are allowed to make a mistake, speak the wrong words, or forget something and still be loved, still be respected, still be enough. Learning doesn't happen through logic. It doesn't happen because you tell yourself, relax, stop overthinking. That doesn't work. Your mind has heard that before, and it knows better. Learning happens through evidence, through experience, through the small, accumulated moments where you let yourself show up without rehearsal and nothing terrible happened, where you didn't replay the interaction and the relationship survived, where you let the night be quiet and the morning came anyway, where you made a mistake and the world didn't end. These are the moments that slowly rewire your nervous system, not instantly, not perfectly, but incrementally, one by one, day after day. You don't need a quieter mind. You need a nervous system that finally feels safe enough to rest. You were never broken. You were a person who needed to think that much once. You were learning. You were surviving. You were adapting. And now slowly, imperfectly, one moment at a time, you get to learn what it feels like to need it a little less. To trust that not everything requires your full vigilance. To allow yourself to be human, not just a protector of yourself. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to aim for perfection. You don't have to eliminate the thinking entirely. You don't have to become someone who never worries, never rehearses, never replays. That's not the goal. The goal is freedom. Freedom from the relentless self-criticism. Freedom from the feeling that every moment requires your total control. Freedom from thinking that a mistake is a verdict on your worth. Freedom from letting your nervous system run on a survival loop that's no longer necessary. This isn't a cure. It isn't a fix. It's the slow, gentle permission to breathe, to exist, to show up as yourself, to learn that the world and you can handle a little uncertainty without disaster. If this felt like someone finally understood your mind, subscribe to Unfelt. This channel exists for people who feel deeply, who think deeply, and who have spent years being told they are too much, too sensitive, too in their heads. And only now, perhaps for the first time, are starting to understand why, and why that isn't a flaw. Comment below which pattern hit closest to home for you. Just a number, 1 through 6. I read every single comment. And if you know someone who thinks too much, who has never understood why, send them this video. It might be the first time their mind has felt truly seen, truly understood, truly accepted. Remember, You were never broken. You were adapting. And now slowly, imperfectly, one moment at a time, it's time to adapt again. This time, toward freedom. This time, toward peace.